Alright, in this video we're going out for a ride to Veneer. So we're going to start out in Saugus. This is in Madawaska County in New Brunswick. And we're going to go up on some old rail bed. But first, we are going to start our ride here at Exit 53, which is right off the Trans-Canada Highway in Saugus. And we're going to take the 12 North, which is the snowmobile trail. And we're going to make our way up to the Pit à Piton, which is a gravel pit, which junctions with Route 10. And that is what we're going to follow here. So we had quite a bit of rain overnight in late July 2022. So we're going to, well, big benefit, no dust. But at the same time, we'll have lots of puddles. First time going up on this trail, so we're taking this a little slower than usual. And of course, being the first few rides with my riding partner here and his new machine, so we're taking it kind of easy here. So we're going to sit back here. We're going to rejoin once we get up past this wood area and up to Patrick, which is some farmland. And to recap here, we're just coming up here on the ridge, but we left from the gravel pit, got on Route 10, and then we followed the trail. We took a hard right, and then we just cut through these woods right here. We're coming up to a clearing, and then we're going to make it to these fields here, Sur Patrick. And then we're going to proceed to follow the roads to Chemin Thibodeau and Chemin du Pont, cross the bridge, and then take a hard left at the rail bed. And we're coming up Sur Patrick. So these 4 pieces of farmland or fields that you see here on the left and right, these are lands that we've been managing on the farm for decades. I can't tell you the amount of springs and falls that I spent here in my youth, sitting on a tractor or getting stuff, hay or grains. But we're going to follow the trail out, very easily marked. You can't really get lost in this section here. I find this section to be very well marked, very well used over time. And what we're going to do here, we're going to come up to a junction with Route 10, and then we're going to follow, becomes Chemin Thibodeau, and then we're going to come up to the very top of the hill, which is the main road for Notre-Dame-du-Lourdes, which will take us back to the Trans-Canada Highway if we need to get up there. But we're going to cross the road and come down on the other side. All right, so now we cross over the bridge on Chemin Pont. We're going to take a hard left to follow the 10. If you were to take a right, we'd be going down to Saint Yana or Saint Leonard on the 25, but this continues the 10. Also, it's also a snowmobile trail, which I forget the number, but ATV trail. This is Route 10. This is all converted rail bed. We'll be crossing over the area known as Fleming, and we'll see pretty much a few houses on the left side because we're following the Grand River, La Grande Rivière. And we're going to proceed on this rail bed quite a ways, a few kilometers, and then we're going to make a stop here. I notice what looks like to be some sort of campsite or a lookout spot right here along the river. So we're going to make a stop there in a few minutes. But first, we got to tend to some fallen trees here on the trail. We encountered a couple, but took out the axe and did a little bit of trimming, and then so that we could proceed on our route. And once we get into, or I guess once we get to the end of Le Chemin Grande Rivière, which is on the right side, civilization kind of ends. And you'll see on the left, once you get past some concrete blocks, you'll see kind of the emergency number. There's some GPS coordinates. You may want to snap a picture of that in case something happens and you have to tell somebody where you are. Cell phone is going to be spotty, very spotty, unless you have an InReach or a Zoleo device, satellite communicator, which will be handy. As you get closer to the 17, you might get a few pockets here and there. But for the most part, in a couple of minutes, or if not already now, cell phones are pretty much kind of useless now if you needed to get a hold of somebody. And we're coming up to the campsite that we spotted in the satellite imagery. So we decided to take a stop and check things out. It was a picnic table, fire pit, what's left of an outhouse, and looks like there's some further trails that go further down on the left side. Didn't venture all of it, but took a look at the river. Again, we had quite a bit of rain, so the river looked pretty good, pretty full, and we decided to continue on the rail bed. This section here was particularly narrow. You're pretty close to the edge of a river, so you might want to pay attention on this section. And also on the right side, you have this kind of a high-end cliff area, so you can't really go to the right for quite a ways, but you can definitely go for a swim. But there's a couple areas. There's one area just further up here that is a bit of a wash, and it gets really close, but otherwise, we're just crossing through these puddles. Like here, this is probably the closest we'll get to the edge. And then we're going to come up here we're going to cross, I think, some bridges here in a second as we make our way to Vanier. And we're going to cross one or two bridges. And then there's going to be a spot coming up on the left side of the trail here that will give you access to the riverbed. And a lot of people will go there to get to the beach. They call it the beach there, but it's probably just the sand pit there along the river that you can take a spot for lunch and stuff. My understanding in that area there, that stop is very popular. We didn't see anybody today, of course, but we didn't see any evidence of anybody on this trail here or this section on this day. Even after the rain, we didn't see anything. But you'll see it here in a minute or two. I'll have that indicated. It's coming up on the left. And then after that, we're going to come up to the junction that will take us to Saint-André. And then from the junction to Vanier, you only have about 5 kilometers left. So we'll rejoin once we up at the junction. All right, so we're approaching the junction between the 10 and the 28. If we go to the right, we would end up in Saint-André, or les cantons de Saint-André. Looks like this is where the shelter is for the Snowmobile Association. It's not here now, but I guess they move them in the fall, getting ready for the season. So we just turned around here. At this point, we are 5 kilometers to Vanier, which was our target or destination for today. So we're just going to follow the 10 again from here, and you can see here on the pop-up we're just going to continue, and we're just going to turn around. Now if you were to go to Saint-Quentin, you would just follow on the left to go around Vanier, which is the Irving wood mill, and you can proceed to Saint-Quentin. We're about halfway there. So if you wanted to do the run that we did today, plan some time because it's going to take you a while. My understanding is once you reach the Black Brook area, the trail becomes significantly better, well maintained, so that you could proceed at a little bit faster speed than what we were doing today. We're around 25 kilometers an hour ish. We were taking our time since this was our first trip on here. We weren't quite sure how deep these puddles were, but most of them were very small. So if this was dry, you'd probably be cruising at a pretty good speed here. There was one washout. They had to slow down a little bit. And there was, well, you're probably going to run into some wildlife here. We ran into a few more jackrabbits, and an owl flew above the side-by-side. Couldn't quite capture it on the camera. It was just out of view. But I am definitely knocking off the wildlife bingo card during this trip here. Got a nice view of the river here on the left. Again, we follow La Grande Rivière, but once we reach Vanier, I believe this is where you'll follow another stream. And here we are at our last blowdown or down tree. We opted for the winch. It was just the most suitable one to pull back and clear the trail that way. We're only about a kilometer from Vanier anyway. If you want to continue to Saint-Quentin, all you have to do is follow the trail to the left. You're going to go around the mill, and then you're going to proceed towards that. You're going to be kind of parallel to Highway 17, the actual route, so you might get some cell service. There was a little smidge of service around here, so you might want to check that out and do some planning. Overall, as you can see here, this was a rail to trail, fairly good condition. You know, with the water puddles, kind of hard to judge the condition of the trail, so we were a little bit more slower than usual. But my understanding is that once you get to Black Brook, things improve greatly, and you're able to make up whatever time you may have lost through this point here. But of course, in the winter, this becomes a very quick trail and a very popular trail for people who want to do runs from St. Leonard up to Saint-Quentin. Other than that, folks, leave me a comment how you found this video. If you have any trail information or if I made any errors, about what I was talking about today, just leave them in the comments. Also, if you're interested of downloading this GPX track, I'll have the link in the description below. You'll be able to download that, bring it into your GPS program of choice, or load it up to your Garmin, smartphone, tablet, whatever you guys are using these days. That's about it, folks. We'll talk to you guys next time.